Okay, hi. This is my presentation for considerations for ELL evaluations. My name is Rochelle Hubbard. We are going to address the first question, which is students sometimes speak with dialects or differences in language that are related to their culture. What is my personal opinion on how these differences impact assessment approaches in oral language? So on my first bullet, I have exposure. And when I address the exposure, I'm kind of talking about during assessments, when a child comes from a culturally linguistically diverse background, may not have been exposed to the knowledge or experience that is present in the test or expected by an evaluator or a tester. So that exposure could affect some of the assessments if they don't have any within their culture. Assessments are kind of touch base on the lack of culturally or linguistically sensitive assessments and or evaluators could lead to high rates of disproportionality when it comes to referrals to special services. Let's see, we have meaning. What I mean by that is many things people expect children of certain ages to do could be based on culture rather than typical development. And so an example could be that an examiner might interpret a child not displaying a specific skill, such as maybe labeling colors, as an indicative to a delay, when is actually a cultural explanation. Culture, let's see. Oh, I think I have those bullet points a little messed up. We just talked about culture, sorry. So the next one would be misidentified. It would be a last bullet point. So for me, the misidentified would mean that when a child does not come from a mainstream American cultural background, it could be misidentified as having a language impairment or labeled as having a disability due to different cultural experiences rather than true impairment. ELLs may display lower achievement in academics because of ineffective accommodations in their education, or maybe of difficulties and demands of second language acquisition. Therefore, numerous ELLs are misidentified as students with learning disabilities and thus placed in special education. So my next slide is what intervention options are available to students who are English learners if they need additional services. So as you see, I have lots of little bullets on some intervention options. My first bullet is modeling, and modeling the steps of a process or showing students what a finished product should look like can go a long way towards helping students understand. Next bullet is the silent period. So many new language learners go through a silent period during which they will speak very little, if any at all. So it's important to remember that don't force them to talk if they don't want to. They're just kind of taking things in and processing. Let's see, ELL kids have a harder time processing spoken language. So instructions, even basic directions for classroom procedures, should be written on the board whenever possible. Our second language populations grow more diverse every year, so taking the time to learn the basics of where your child comes from is another important intervention to help the child process and gain knowledge in the English language and for other cultures. 5, show visuals. Show videos of what it looks like, or show pictures of, maybe it's how to toss a pizza dough, or maybe it's pictures of a jukebox, or anything that, things that are not common in their own language. Show them visuals. Let them see what it is you're talking about. Small group instructions. So one of the best interventions for ELL students is small group instruction, or partnered activities. Small groups provide a safe environment for students, and ELL students are more inclined to speak and participate in a type of setting, because partner activities allow the ELL students more opportunities to speak and hear responses from their peers. Keeping them with their peers or their classmates is important, and helping the ELL students become acclimated within the classroom and to learn languages, to learn the English language by models. Let's see. Pre-teach is another intervention I have down. So what I mean by that is, any chance you get, give these students a chance to preview materials. This will help increase the odds that they'll understand on the day that you actually present the lesson to everyone. So just kind of helping them prepare, process the information before you actually teach and present it. Another intervention could be interpreters or translations, or translations. Translations and interpreters are also available through the state of Kansas. These resources are, or these services, can be used for both students or parents, meaning when it comes to the assessments or just helping the students within the classroom. So those are some interventions that I kind of came up with based off the materials. Next, we're going to go to the last one, which is, why are students who are culturally, linguistically diverse sometimes over- or under-identified for special education services? So my first bullet says, the difficulty in differentiating language acquisition problems and learning disabilities. So what I kind of mean about that is the students who struggle to learn English because of the complexities of learning a second language can be inappropriately diagnosed as having a qualified disability. They can be placed in special education and receive inappropriate services. So a student, too, would be a student who is struggling due to a disability may go without services because those struggles are being incorrectly attributed to the language difficulties. So the two would be the lack of professional development expertise on the part of those evaluating students. More research is needed in the area of language acquisition and disability, but students and staff would benefit from further professional development in all of these areas. So there's a need for staff and other professionals to be more qualified and be trained and able for us to better understand how to develop better in these areas when it comes to assessing. Poor assessment tools and policies. So the idea requires students to be evaluated in their native language. It kind of talked about the lack of quality assessments in those languages can make valid evaluations more problematic. So we need better assessment tools and policies. Assessments results are influenced by logistic factors as construct irrelevant and may not be a valid criteria in the classification of ELL students. So we have referrals. I had down as another one. Referrals can take years. The educational needs of ELL students requires that we understand the diversity among our students' populations, and sorry, lost my train of thought. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Understand the diversity among our students' populations and planned, to deliver instructions that are tailored more to individual needs of this group. And until this is done, it's likely that we will continue to over-identify a large number of students as having disabilities when they do not.